If you let it auto compound, you go from 1 to 1344 and it stays at $100. Well, if you multiply 1344 times 100, that's going to be 134,400. And then obviously minus your initial investment of $800. That's insane, dude. On an investment of $800, if Ohm goes down from $800, your initial investment, to $100, you would have made $133,000 in 1 year off the investment of 1 Ohm. Guys, that's the game theory I'm trying to explain. Your downside is you make $544. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, me and Puffy the Mike, we're going to break down Olympus Dow. Have you guys ever seen that meme? 3 is a magic number. Yeah, guys. My voice-o don't hit that tono. So, yeah, we're just going to go talk about Olympus. Anyways, guys, if you guys are new to the channel, you guys got 3. Dude, that's crazy. 3 is a magic number, right? Guys, 3 things for me. Like, subscribe, bell button, and leave a comment in that description below saying you subscribe. You'll automatically get thrown into that drawing. Turn $100 and free BTC. If you guys are old to the channel and like continuing to watching and whatever, I finally figured out why I call it 3. Like, do 3 things for me when I really say 4. It's because, I don't know, I guess randomly I just said 3. And it works. But anyways, guys, let's go ahead and talk about Olympus, what they're doing, and how they're changing the game. Like, literally, this is some serious game theory. Like, I mean, brain twister, dude. It's nuts. But first off, we're going to show you guys a couple of things in Olympus. We're going to show you guys a couple of features you guys want to look at, and then we'll break down the white paper. The white paper is like where the fire sauce is at, so highly recommend you guys stay tuned. And I will give examples. I will make sure this is something that you guys can actually understand, and it's a really cool concept. So first off, guys, you have a couple of things. You have APY. Obviously, we already know what APY is. It's not the same thing as APR. APR is what we go by, but APY is what they're giving us right now. So based on this, your APR is probably going to be about 400% or so, maybe 450 based on this rate. And if you look at the TVL, it's got about $416 million into it. So it's not a super small cap, but it's not a super large cap. Because me personally, I don't think it's like one of them degen farms. It's playing off game theory, so it's a little bit different. And if you guys don't understand what Olympus Dow is, well, the introduction kind of explains it clearly. Olympus is a algorithmic currency protocol based on the OHM token. It introduces unique economic and game theory dynamics into the market through asset backing and protocol controlled value. And it says, read more about the game theory. Don't worry, we're going to go and get into that so you guys can understand it. So, now, another thing we see is current index. What does this mean? Well, if you look on OHM, I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on CoinGecko for you guys. This is Olympus Dow. When this protocol first launched, this one launched, what did it launch at? So, technically, if you bought it, when it first launched, which was in March 24th or March 25th, however many ohm you bought, it didn't matter. So like say you bought 1 ohm, like if you bought 100 ohm, whatever, what the ratio is, this current index means is if you bought 1 ohm back in March, your 1 ohm is worth 8 ohms now. Well, that's a pretty good investment. If you bought 1 ohm at $300 and now it's 8 ohm now, well, the price of ohm is $600. So theoretically, if you think about it, you would have how much? Well, 16 times of what you invested. Anyways, guys, that's just a quick concept. That's what I'm trying to show to you guys. And obviously, you have the same old features of staking, unstaking. That's nothing crazy. But I'm going to go ahead and get rid of my face because it's really annoying. It's in the way. It's blocking the junk. And you guys already know what I look like, so who cares? So, couple of other features you need to know is your balance, stake balance, reward value, and next reward yield. What does this mean? Well, this is what the compounding rate is every single time. It rebases 3 times a day. they are just harping on them threes, man. Guys, 3 is an important number. It's actually really important in the Bible too. So it's something that's like, well, it really is game theory. Why do you think there is ice, water, and water vapor? It's kind of ironic. They have 3 things. Why do we have a moon, the sun, and earth? Why does he make 3 things? Why not just the sun and the earth? That's odd. Why do we have the sky, land, and sea? Anyways, guys, you guys get the point. A lot of things come in threes. Definitely meme magic, I'll tell you that much. So you have the reward, the next reward yield. What does this mean? So if you have 1 ohm staked, basically at the end of the reward period, you will be getting 0.0046 ohm. And obviously that is auto compounding every time. So like now the next reward yield that you will get is 1.00463 times whatever the next reward rate is, because it's auto compounding. That's why they show you APY. And then you have return on investment at the 5-day rate. So basically every 5 days you will have 7% more. So theoretically at these current APYs, if you were to stake 1 ohm, after about 71 days or roughly over 2 months, you would have your money returned back. That's as long as Ohm stays at these prices. Obviously, it goes down a little bit, it'll be a little different. If it goes up, your return on investment will be a lot more. Again, it's simple game theory. And then you also have things where you can do bonds, and I'll explain how the game works. Mainly, all these crypto projects are all the same thing. Figure out how the game works and capitalize on it. So let's go and get into the white paper to explain it. What is the point of Olympus? Well, the goal is to create a policy-controlled currency system where the Ohm token is actually controlled by the DAO in order to optimize for stability and consistency for a global unit of count and medium of exchange currency. Why is this important? Well, if you haven't noticed anytime soon, or if you've been sleeping under a rock, going to buy some toilet paper costs like 3 times the amount it did like 2 years ago. And if it stayed the same price, compare that toilet paper roll from 3 years ago to the toilet paper roll now. It's like half the size. You either have inflation or shrinkflation. These companies like to do shrinkflation, but eventually the products can only get so small that they just have to increase the prices. So Ohm is not pegged to one DAI. It is actually backed by one DAI. Why is this different and why is this important? Well, if you are pegging to the price or value of $1, that $1 loses its purchasing power every single year. However, if you peg to the value that $1 can purchase, that is an entirely different thing. Good example of this is gold. Like gold is basically quote unquote a measurement that people can use to see what the price of things are doing. Typically what they say is 1 ounce of gold, like even back then, it would buy you a man's fine suit. Like today, 1 ounce of gold, about $1,600 to $1,800, will buy you a really nice suit. Same thing back then. The suits back then did not cost $1,600, but they cost about $150 to $200. Or no, it was probably less than that. It was more so about, I don't know, maybe $100. And 1 ounce of gold could do that back then. It's the same concept. However, if you have $100 back then, you are going to be able to buy way more junk than you would now. That's the problem with pegging to the dollar. If you peg to the dollar, you're pegging to something that is depreciating year after year. If you peg to the value of the dollar, aka being backed by one DAI or $1, then you are not increasing, but keeping the same purchasing power. So it's almost like being back to the price of gold, which you can't really back to the price of gold because people don't price things in gold. They price it in the dollar. So that's just kind of how you can understand the game theory, just so you guys can get an understanding. So I know you're asking yourself this. Well, if that's the case, well then when Ohm finally gets its peg, it'll be at $1. Well, no, guys, it's not being pegged to one DAI or $1. It's being backed by one DAI. So as an ohm is inflating, like the token amount is inflating and increasing, it's going to take less DAI per ohm because there is more ohm. So here's a good example. Say you have 1,000 ohm tokens and 100,000 in the DAI or in the treasury. Well, theoretically, one ohm token is going to equal $1,000. However, if that ohm supply inflates to 2,000 ohm because there's an inflation rate and you have 100,000 DAI into the protocol, well, now that price of the ohm token is going to equal $500, because if you do 2,000 times 500, that's going to give you 100,000. And it's the same concept. It's backed by the value. It's backed by one DAI, aka $1. So that's how you can understand it. It doesn't mean it's at that price. And obviously there are different factors that you have to take into account, because yes, other people are going to be purchasing the Ohm token to earn the juicy rewards. And again, we'll explain the meme of the 3-3 so you guys can see it and understand the concept of it. So here's a quick TLDR on the game theory. So when you're investing, you need to look for lower risk. If you look at this in all of these situations, aka 1 out of 9 of them will be a negative result, so losing your money. So at this point, if you look at this protocol, this is one of those things if you rate it as a point system. Staking has the effect of pushing the price up +2. Selling the effect of pushing the price down -2. The player who moves the price gets half of the benefit. So I know that sounds like gibberish and all kinds of garbage, and I get it. That's fine. Another thing also before I get into it, players are most likely to stake when they anticipate an expansion in supply and or price. And then players are most likely to sell when they anticipate a contraction, because, well, if it's going down in price, you want to sell it before it dumps. I mean, it's just a simple concept. And then players will most likely bond when they do not have a strong directional bias. Well, when you bond, you actually get it for a discount at that instant. But then again, you can't stake it. So if it's going up, well, you're kind of losing out type of thing, just so you can understand. So now let's explain the game theory. So if you and I both stake, it's a win-win for both of us because it goes up in price. It's great. So both players' staking results in a 6, which is 6 means good. Well, not 6 doesn't mean good, but I'm saying like 6 points is great. The more points you get, the better. If it's 0, then it's neutral. So who cares? Now, if you decide to bond because you don't know where the price is going, and I decide to stake, it's a +4 for the system because there's no sell pressure. Now, if you decide to sell, but I decide to bond, it's a neutral strategy because I'm unsure what the price is going to do. You're sure it's going to drop. So you sell, it's a -1. And I, on the other hand, bond because I think I'm getting it at a discount because I don't know what the price is going to do. So it's neutral. Like, it doesn't care. -1 and 1 cancel out. So it's 0. So the price is stagnant. So who cares? Now, if you bond and I stake, then it's a 3-1. So it's 4 points for the system, which is good. If you bond, I bond, because we both don't know what the price is going to do, well, it goes up because it's +2 points. Now, if you sell and I bond, then it's the same concept. A -1 and a 1 cancel out. Now, if you sell and I stake, because I'm like, yeah, I'm bullish on it, and you're like, nah, bro, I already made enough profits, I'm selling out. It cancels each other out because -3 and 1, -1, same thing. Same thing with selling and bonding. So like you decide to sell and I decide to bond. The sell is the -1 and the bond is the +1, so they cancel each other out. However, if both of us sell, then we both lose. So that is the only scenario where we both lose, is if we both sell. So that's just a concept to understand. I understand it's like complicated. It's like what the pants. Well, the main thing, the TLDR you guys need to know on this is the worst case scenario is both of us sell. And that's the game theory on it. So if you sell and I don't sell, it cancels out and it's a neutral strategy. So that's just a concept, just so you guys can understand. But anyways, let's go back into the white paper and explain some more of Olympus now that you guys have a concept of the game. We already explained why dollar peg stablecoins are basically a ripoff, because you're pegging to something that is depreciating in value. Sure, you can earn some juicy yields on it, but dude, are those yields always going to be there? I mean, come on. Yes, they'll stay there as long as they're there, but as more and more adoption gets in and people stop speculating and trying to get leverage on tokens, well, people aren't going to borrow. And if there's no borrowing, the lending rates are low. So again, we already explained Ohm is backed, not pegged. And I know people are asking about the 3-3 meme. I just explained it as well. But 3-3 is the idea that if everyone cooperated in Olympus, it would generate the greatest gain for everyone. I'll explain another example with the game theory so you guys can understand it. This is the 3-3 meme, just so you guys can understand it. So again, like I was saying, a couple people are speculating on Ohm, so that's why it's trading at a higher premium, is because people are trying to get the staking rewards and participating in the early adopt. And this explains how APY works. So first off, if you're depositing into the protocol, you guys will see like 50 to 100 to 150 days. You're like, man, this stinks. I'm like getting no rewards. And then it starts taking off exponentially. As you guys can understand, one of the seventh wonders of the world that Warren Buffett claims is compounding interest. And you guys can see it on a chart. Like if you literally start with 1 ohm compounded 2% daily, at the end of the year, you'll have almost 1,500 ohm, which is nuts. So a lot of people are asking, well, if it's backed by 1 DAI, what's the value of Ohm? 1 DAI? Well, here's the answer to it. So, for example, there really is no clear answer because it's governed with the DAO. So the example they give is if the Treasury can guarantee to back every Ohm with 100 DAI, aka changing it because it's through governance, the intrinsic value will be 100 DAI because, well, it's changing. So it's a raising price floor and it can change. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And here's a couple of options when you're staking. Staking is basically how you will keep your purchasing power. So like if you aren't staking, you're going to get diluted because everyone else is staking their own, aka 90% of the network is staking their own, so they're earning rewards. So staking is going to be the passive long-term strategy. So if you're bullish on Ohm, you deposit, you stake it, as you guys saw on the chart, it's exponential over time. In my opinion, this is one of those things like game theory. You stake it for like you stake it and you let it sit for like a year and come back and see what happens. And keep in mind when you're purchasing this or investing in it, just understand like, hey, everything I invest in this, I understand I'm going to lose everything. And that's probably the best approach to take to it. If you're taking the approach like I'm going to be a multi-billionaire from this, well, you're taking the wrong approach. Like go somewhere else. You got to understand you're in crypto. You're going to be taking a lot of risks. If it works out, awesome. And you become a multi-billionaire, good for you. If you lose all your money, well, you knew you were losing all your money going into it. So staking is really straightforward. The only thing you need to know when you unstake is you will lose the recent rebase. So whatever that rebase is, like for example, if you go on the not the dashboard, on the staking dashboard, like each epoch, which is like 6 hours or 7 hours or something like that, the reward rate is going to be 0.46%. So it's nothing crazy that you'll be missing out on. There's a couple of other contents that you guys can look at, but really I want to show you guys the feature of bonding and then give you another example. You can also catch in the Discord and ask any questions I didn't answer on here because I probably missed a bunch of them. And you can always ask on the comments in the description below. But a thing you want to know is the bonding mechanism. Why would someone bond? Well, if someone doesn't know what the price is going to be at a certain period of time or where it's going to go, it would be in their best interest to bond. Yes, there is a vesting term. You have to hold it for 5 or 4 days before you can redeem it and start staking it. But when you purchase the bond, as you guys can see, there is a difference in the price, 618 DAI versus 631. So you're going to get at a lower price by bonding some DAI to purchase some of the Ohm tokens. But yes, again, like I said, it's going to be locked up. And then there are some where it's negative. So like you'll be paying more. So that's something to keep in mind as well. Now, really, Ohm, just in general, is one of those things like it's just a big game theory that you need to understand. And I just want to end the video with this. This thread was awesome. I really liked it. Really good concepts, really good ideas. Don't even really know how to give a shout out to his name. But I'll just say, guys, the meme magic guy. I love this meme. Are you winning, son? Hold up, Dad. I'm re-architecting the global financial. It's hilarious, man. Because it just reminds me of boomers and millennials. This is how my dad talks to me as well, and I get it. I try to teach him this stuff, but he doesn't understand. And it's sometimes, well, actually, a lot of times he's right about this junk, but still. Let's go ahead and read it to you guys so you guys can understand it. So how is Ohm different from another Algos stablecoin? Well, first off, most Algos stablecoins try to peg to 1 USD. This is where Ohm differentiates itself. So trying to be pegged to something that is depreciating over time is just not worth it. You want to peg to the value of it or be backed by the value of it. So it's backed by one DAI, aka the value of one DAI. Because it's not backed by or pegged to one DAI directly. In order to buy more Ohm, you